if you thought it was going to be Jewish governor of Pennsylvania, one of the most key to win in the presidential race, no, the Minnesota governor is the choice. Yep. The whitest guy of the white guys. In there, Tim Walz, he was a school teacher from Nebraska originally.
Yeah, we have some sort of highlights if you want to know about him.
Did spend about 20 years in the National Guard.
Yep, 24. Yeah, I'll just go through it. Tim Walz, 41st governor of Minnesota, as you said. He was first elected in 2018 and won re-election in 2022. Six-term congressman. He served in the National Guard for 24 years after enlisting in 1981. After high school graduation, he enlisted in the Army National Guard. He attended
Chadron
State College and graduated with a social science degree in 1989. Spent a year teaching abroad before returning home to serve full-time.
Do you know where?
It does not say. In China. In the Army National Guard, eventually accepting a high school teaching and coaching position. So again, I don't know who they're trying to play for in this moment, because you have a state that hasn't gone red in what, 50 years probably?
Trump was targeting it this year as Republicans would like to target it, Logan. I mean, obviously, it'd be great if you could turn Minnesota
red. There that you would feel like could be turned.
What's to be interesting, when he first ran for Congress, he was a six-term congressman, he had the NRA's endorsement. Now he's banning guns. Right. So he's someone who has moved, like Minnesota kind of has and does, he's moved across the spectrum from kind of moderate white guy from Midwest to liberal Minnesota.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are weirdly, I think the conservative crowd is a little relieved by this pick.
He is the guy that started calling us weird.
Now, he was the origin of weird?
And they said they like that a lot. When you kind of you want to ban books, and you want to be in the operating room with women during abortions. That's kind of weird. Think about it. He came up with that.
Gotcha. So and if anyone would call someone weird, I feel like it's this guy. When you look at him, you're like, look at these weirdos. You wake up to the news that it's Tim Walz, someone who really, most people don't even know the name. Most people never heard.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to blame anybody right now if you don't. I mean, if you're not.
I did not until maybe a week ago, until his name started bubbling up in this. Maybe it's the call to pick someone who's going to be, kind of fade away into the background. We said, does this feel like a person who's a future presidential pick?
No.
Not really. They're not thinking that far ahead. They're thinking of an 8-year term for
They're thinking like, we just got to survive this. Yeah. We got to beat Trump in one election. We've beaten Trump.
Yeah. Or maybe like a Cheney, like a Dick Cheney. No one ever thought Dick Cheney was going to run for president.
No, but is Tim Walz like so prepared to be?
Yeah, I mean, he's also not like a strategic.
I mean, he's been a governor for a long time.
I mean, kind of, 2018.
And congressman.
Yeah, congressman, 6-term congressman. So he was there for a while.
Senator Blackburn, this is Jordan, and you tweeted right out that Harris chose to side with the anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas, radical, liberal wing of her party. Let the record show Harris and her party are anti-Israel, and you sent that message out today. I want you to talk people through that who just don't know much about the Minnesota governor.
I served in the House with Tim Walz. He was a regular, consistent, to be counted on vote for Nancy Pelosi and her agenda in the House. And one of those main agendas that Pelosi was trying to push, of course, was the climate agenda and that radical doing away with fossil fuels and moving to wind and solar. So, and you've seen that as he has been governor. He has been so far left. He really is one of those climate radicals. And in Minnesota, he put stricter emission standards on SUVs and cars and trucks and tried to align himself with California on that. Indeed, he went so far as to push to do away with fossil fuels by 2040. He didn't want anything other than EVs in Minnesota. And as we saw this past year, the electric car chargers froze, and people could not even charge an electric vehicle in Minnesota. He wants to do away with private health insurance. He wants to push for universal health care. He believes in abortion on demand up to the moment of birth. He is always trying to weaken election safeguards. And one of the things that I think is most problematic is the way that he has dealt with illegal immigration. He wants to give them health care. He wants to pay for their college tuition. He wants to give them voting rights. This is all positions that as governor he has taken. So what Kamala Harris did was to go for the most leftist. Jordan, she chose the person most philosophically aligned with her, even though they have spent hours trying to make her into a moderate. All of a sudden, her pick of VP says, nope, she chose somebody who was right there with her.
This is deeply unserious. This is left politics at its most dangerous. This is a pick that Vice President Harris made, which doesn't do a single thing about someone who cares about the border. Indeed, he offered a ladder to get them across. This is someone who has rejected the basic tenets of law and order in his own city. We saw that during the George Floyd riots. I observed him as a member of Congress, not taking seriously his responsibilities. And we know this, too. Vice President Harris is part of a Biden team on foreign policy that has set the world aflame. And Governor Walz has literally zero experience dealing with these complicated and important security issues. So I, for the life of me, I can't figure out how it's the case that the American people would stare at Governor Walz and say, yeah, that's the guy I want to keep my children safe. That's the guy I want to grow my economy. Or that's the guy I want to secure my southern border. They just demonstrated a lack of seriousness that is befuddling to me.
Most people, I mean, if you look around the world, I think, what was the percentage, Will? It was like 70% had never heard of him before,
right.
Of the American population. So this is brand new information to people. They may see certain news reports, certain articles. I told you, I saw the left kind of putting out, hey, he's a moderate. Hey, look what he did. The NRA endorsed him numbers of years ago. And of course, they don't acknowledge what he's been doing in the last decade.
Ilhan Omar has less support for Kamala Harris than she does Tim Walz. Just let that kind of just rush over you for a minute. Ilhan Omar is love tweeting Tim Walz right now with all of her pictures with Tim Walz, like a little kid. Like, oh, I got a picture with him. Like he's a celeb. If Ilhan Omar's doing that, and she's not acting that way about Joe Biden, she's not acting that way against Harris either. If Ilhan Omar is taking this position, doesn't that tell you all you need to know about Tim Walz? It's an interesting pick by Harris. Maybe a little insight, too, into where they're more concerned about their liberal base getting out there than we thought. Because we all have heard about how excited everybody is with Harris and poll numbers going up. But then would you have picked him? Would you have had to pick him if liberals were so excited? I mean, there had to be something in their polling to say, we got to make sure we get Minnesota.